Welcome to WellPlayed Talkthrough. My name is Zach Jackson, and with me today is Adam Ryan.
Hello.
And Nathan Hennessy.
G'day.
This is Talkthrough, where we invite a developer onto the show to talk us through a slice of their game. And today I'm super excited to welcome Jack Bennett, co-founder of Oddbug Studio and producer and lead designer on Tales of Iron 2, Whiskers of Winter. Jack, thanks for coming.
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here and chat about Tales of Iron.
I bet you are. After 2 games, do you still love it as much as you first did?
Yeah, I mean, our very first game was like The Lost Bear, and that was like a tough slog of learning game dev. So making Tales of Iron has been like a dream of like, oh, we actually know what we're doing now. We can make games.
Well, tonight we have Nathan, who's going to be on the sticks. He's going to be playing, or the mouse and keyboard, I guess. He's going to be playing Tales of Iron 2, Whiskers of Winter. He'll be playing from the start, so we'll see the intro, we'll see the tutorial a little bit, and then we'll get into the world if he can make it out there. But Nathan, if you want to quickly get ready, but Jack, very, very quickly, give us a very brief elevator pitch on what Tales of Iron 2, Whiskers of Winter is.
Okay, so I mean, if you don't know what Tales of Iron is, Tales of Iron we say is like Redwall meets The Witcher with a little bit of Game of Thrones. So in Tales of Iron 1 we kind of set up the world of rats fighting frogs in this sort of semi-medieval world, with a little bit of sort of zombies and things in there as well. Then Tales of Iron 2 is the sequel to that, so it happens in the same universe, in the same part of in the same world, but in a different part of the world. So this time it's Arlo, who's Warden of the North, fighting off the bats, who are kind of like White Walkers from beyond.
Cool. All right, Nathan, you're going to go the Tales of Iron mode. So you've actually played Tales of Iron, correct?
The first one,
Yeah.
and it's saying that an hour. So now I've really got some homework to do. We're gonna have to get through that now.
Yeah. I mean, this one, if you've played the first one, you're going to understand the basics of it, but there's definitely more in it than you're used to.
Warm in his keep, the dark wings cut their bloody trail from frozen.
I can't give Nathan any hard times because Zach was during the review period was maybe struggling a little bit on certain bosses. And I was giving him a hard time until I played the first hour of the game and struggled immensely on the first boss. So I've been humbled. So I'll keep my opinions on skill level to myself, I think.
Well, with this one, you've got the advantage that you can change difficulty at any point. In Tales of Iron 1, it was like you pick your difficulty, you play through. But with this one, if you're finding it hard, you can put it on Fairy Tale and play on an easier mode.
Wait.
Yeah, that's what I'll be doing for the subsequent hours, I think.
Yeah, because Jack, I actually messaged you, so I got right up to the final boss, well, pretty much the final boss, without upgrading the health. Other than because I couldn't find the badger guy, even though he was right there the whole time.
Yeah, well, you played it on hardcore mode if you're playing with like your first health bar, yeah.
Well, I did I did the mission where you get the badger there, and then I think he gives you like that's just part of the progression. But after that, I didn't get the second or third meal until I was like, something's not right. Like, I'm obviously not doing something because I can't get any food, and I keep that last boss just was ruining me.
Yeah, that last boss as well is like, the spoilers is you think he's done, right, and then he's back and harder.
Yeah.
So
don't worry.
I can imagine you getting through that first bit like, I've done it. And then,
Absolutely, that's what happened.
Now that he's conquered that challenge, he's going to play the game back through, but on a Guitar Hero controller. So we'll keep you informed as to how that goes.
Or a dance mat as well. I'd like to see.
Yeah, perfect.
Began for Arlo.
So, all right.
It's not enough of a challenge, is it?
No. We've got to ask. So, Doug Cockle, right? Working with him must be super. Like, given that this game is inspired by The Witcher, working with Doug Cockle and getting him to narrate both games is obviously huge, and his voice suits the tone and the story perfectly.
Working with Doug is just like the best. Like if you think of Doug as the Witcher, as Geralt, you think he must be this massive man, like grizzly man that comes out of nowhere, but he's actually just this really sweet, nice guy. He's like, who comes in, he's really easy to work with. Like he's not like this, I'm a big gaming star. He's like super sweet. He's happy to like retake stuff and work with you, and you know he'll give notes and he'll play stuff. Like one of the in the first game we did the DLC, and there's a line in it where you go into the king's bedroom and it says about smelling of gooseberries and you know the classic Yennefer line. That was Doug's idea, where he's like, yep, that's good. So working with Doug is like, it's just a nice to and fro. He's a creative person, yeah.
So we've got a Witcher TV series. Is there any chance Tales of Iron gets its own little small screen adaptation?
I would actually absolutely love it. Like when Netflix was working on a mouse guard series, right, and it got cancelled, and we was like, we would absolutely love a Tales of Iron series. 2D is still keeping it 2D, but with like, you know, like Samurai Jack, that sort of animation style would be insane for it. Yeah. And keeping words to a minimum like we try to in Tales of Iron, and just purely animation based would be really nice. I think we'd still struggle, like that would be even more of a struggle, because a lot of people with Tales of Iron, they see it and they think, oh, it's cutesy rats and like in this little fairy tale world, and then they see you chopping bats' heads off and like getting stabbed in the stomach and stuff. So I think we'd struggle more with that, with parents sitting their kid down in front of Netflix to watch Tales of Iron, coming out traumatized.
Was never easy.
I guess on that topic, I mean, the Redwall thing is definitely what lured me in, you know, for that first game. Like, I'm a massive Redwall fan, so, you know, having a game that, well, what I think plays like an adult version of a Redwall game. But the other main thing is that art style is just striking. It's phenomenal. It's beautiful. It's so it looks like it's more detailed in this one. Perhaps that could just be my memory. But it looks like you've spent more time kind of filling in a bit more of the background sort of stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, the level of detail was built up because, like, if you look through this scene right now, what we're looking at now, each piece is actually an individual asset that is layered. So the floor you're on, the shop, the wall behind it, that bit of wood in front of the wall, all of that is a separate asset placed back in the Z depth. So that when you move it through like this, you get that parallax. So like you can see the walls coming through and moving around.
Great.
So that is where the detail comes from. But I'd say in this game, what we've done, which is different to the first game, is we've got the day-night system, and that's a whole nother level to it, because then we're changing the lighting of the scene twice. We're adding in different enemies and stuff depending on that day and night system. So that really changed the level of detail in the world. I think was the day-night system, and the game's just bigger. You know, it's like there's another biome compared to the first one. The levels are all like twice the size of the first game, so the level of detail isn't. But that's all done by like 2 guys, so it's crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, our team is only like 6 of us. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, Nathan, did you pick up the little thing little stone I was? Did I say that correctly? No.
You may have.
No, you didn't pick up the whetstone?
I wasn't looking out for a stone, mate. Sorry.
The whetstone, you didn't pick it up yet?
No, he hasn't got that far
right,
yet.
Okay, sorry. No, I thought I saw that, because I do want to talk about that, but
Good segue.
I mean, the newest in this tutorial, the newest bit you see is actually the smithing.
Yeah.
So that was like a whole new part that we've added in this game, was like actually having upgradable equipment. Because in the first game it was just like you find blueprints and it was a lottery, and you just got whatever happened, and that was really hard for us to balance the game with, depending on when you went to claim your blueprints. Whereas this way we kind of put that onto the player now. Like you can play in the first armor if you really want a tough challenge, but if you want to like build up your equipment and get stronger and better, then you're going to go out and do the hunts and craft the stuff that you want through this system.
Is there a reason why you didn't make particular weapons and stuff upgradable. So I think it's I don't remember what it is, but it's like the scaly sword, maybe like the reddy green colored shield or something like that. And I quite like that sword when I was playing with it, but you can't actually upgrade that from memory. So
there's certain ones that can't be upgraded, but basically we started off with about 1,000 different weapons and armors that we was like, yeah, we love all of these, let's make them all. And then we realized like, oh, we've got like a 10-hour, 15-hour game, we can't fit that in. So it's like chopping it down, and I think there's still like 400 different weapons and armors in the game. So yeah, it was purely just a case of time and effort basically, and what worked best in the game.
So just touching back on the art style, not to waylay us too much, but when I first booted up the game, I think I sent Zach a message and said that it reminded me of kind of like the set to like a puppet theater or like a marionette, and I didn't realize how literal that was, as you say, that it's literally layered with assets. But I've also read there's a bit of a Czech influence, like there's a particular kind of art style that influenced it as well. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah. So our lead artist who does all the environment work, Martin, he's from the Czech Republic, or Czechia, and one of the big things out there is, and I mean they do it all over the world, but it's well known there, is like block printing. So you carve out what you want, you ink it, and then you stamp it. So that's why all of our artwork's got this like thick black lines around it. It's all based on that block printing process. Obviously we do everything in Photoshop now, but it's a cool system to it. So that's part of it, and then the other part that kind of drives the artwork is we want it to feel like a storybook. We want it to feel like it's a picture book come to life. That's why we try and reduce the amount of words you see. It's why we try and do everything through pictures. It's because we want it to feel like a story that you're learning through the world and through the environment, through the action you're taking. And in that way, it makes me feel like whether you can read English or not, or one of the languages we've got, or depending on your reading language, your reading skill, you can still understand the game, you can still play the game, you can still get the story from it without having to know exactly what's going on.
So Arlo found it curious.
One thing I will say with
those
the
kids can still play it and cut the bats' heads off. Gotta get the kids in there.
Well, for me, it's more like a lot of my family members are like properly like dyslexic, so they struggle to read and stuff. So without being able to have to read the subtitles or anything like that, they can still play the game and understand what's going on. That's kind of what drove me to do it. But yeah, like again, we support I think 12 languages, but not everyone speaks those languages, so people can still play it without having to know what's actually going on. Here's the whetstone.
So let's talk about the whetstone. So this, when I first previewed the game, this was actually like a mandatory component of combat. Like you had to keep sharpening your sword or your weapon, and obviously that has been changed to now just being like a kind of a buff item. Talk us through that. Talk us through the decision, because I'm guessing you got a bit of feedback from players that they just didn't vibe with it.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the whole reason for us wanting to do a Next Fest. Basically, is because as developers we like that mechanic, we like that extra level of challenge to it. Of like, we came at it like with the health flask, you have to find space within combat to heal, basically. So we wanted another version of that where you had to find space within combat to heal your weapon. So that was our thinking behind it, but we wasn't 100% sure that everyone would love it. So we did the Next Fest to get that feedback. And in Next Fest, there was people that loved it, but I think the majority of people were thinking, this is too hard for me. The combat's already hard enough, so having that was too much. And we're not opposed to like taking that feedback on. That's what we're all about. Like the whole point of Tales of Iron 2 was we took on the feedback that we got from Tales of Iron 1 and we tried to implement that to improve Tales of Iron as a franchise, So in Tales of Iron 1 we got told they wanted a bigger game, they wanted more world, they wanted more detailed side quests, and I think we've tried to achieve that in Tales of Iron 2. And so getting that feedback about the whetstone, that is great to us, because we want that feedback early, so we can fix it rather than releasing it and being told, actually we don't like this,
Yeah.
So whenever we
No.
get feedback like that, we're super happy.
This mother
Yeah,
had
I
left
think
her
that's
young
that's
to
that's
fight
really good, and it
alone.
just shows a level
The
of
same
not so
could
much
not be
maturity,
said
but
for
like
Eivor,
you know,
as he
you're
leapt
not
to his
opposed. You know, you're not
son's
thinking
side.
you're above the player as such kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's the thing as a developer. That's your job. You know, your job is to. I mean, I like Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, but not everyone loves Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. So that is to find something that everyone loves football. So it's finding that middle ground. You know, that's what we're trying to do as developers is find the middle ground that everyone's happy with, but not to be so generic that nobody likes it. It's finding that sweet spot.
No, I think with the whetstone, I think you made the right call. I think, but personally, I found it just like a little bit too much. I had to worry about too much in combat. And
well, there was a conversation that maybe it was something we should just add into Bloody Whisker, because we still get people to this day being like, Bloody Whisker's too easy. We want it harder. And it's like we think Bloody Whisker's hard, so maybe we need a Bloody Whisker mode at the end. You know, where you got the whetstone too.
Yeah, like, you know, maybe that could be part of your extra difficulty options. You know, whetstone turned on or something like that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Nathan, how'd you go? First go, mate.
Oh, no sweat, mate. No
Look at
sweat.
you.
We took it down.
You're a pro.
Got to work on them parry timings, but that's always part of the journey with these games.
I didn't notice, but did you cut the porcupine's tail off?
Oh, I don't think I did. No, I don't think I saw much action behind the porcupine. Gave it a lot on the head, though. Hence, it's
You're missing one.
Because one of the things we implemented in this game is with all of the hunts of monsters, they've all got weak points. So you can break. So for example, with that porcupine, he was slapping his tail down. If he'd have kept attacking the tail and broken it off, then he'd stop doing that move. So that was something we tried to implement. That was like, if you really get to know the creature and you work out how it's playing, you can actually make it easier for yourself by breaking parts off of it and not having to deal with those attacks.
I like
I like that.
Yeah.
Got a bit of that Witcher feel to it. The game does have a bestiary as well. Is that something that you can you've implemented hints so you kind of know what to look out for before you go into the fight?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, so in this game we've added like the elemental system. So the everything's got a weakness, everything's got a strength. So that was kind of the thing you needed to know going into the fights, was this is the sort of weapon or the sort of armor I need to have. But then on top of that, you needed to know where to get the materials you wanted to craft the weapons and armors that you wanted. So it's just a bit of a reminder system of like, here's what I've got and how I can get it.
Something I hadn't noticed until Nathan was cutting up those porcupines as well, because I've been playing predominantly with an axe, and that has its own kind of kill animation, but the spear has a completely different kill animation, which I think is a nice little touch as well. The different weapons, I think, it's very cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of animations, but it's cool to be able to do that.
On the animations, I think a lot of the stuff that happens in the background is like I think I wrote this in my review, but it's just gorgeous to look at. Like, I think when you go to the Golden Forest for the first time and all the owls are kind of poking their head at, like, you know, from behind the trees and stuff, like just that sort of stuff that goes on in the background, it's really good.
Yeah, well, that's the world building we like to make. You know, that is telling the story without having to say anything. You know, I'm glad you found this. We didn't tell anyone about this, but you get that little drunk effect over the top if you stand there and drink too much.
Yeah, we're a bit woozy.
Yeah, I drank a little too much and it came up the same way it came in, so partied a bit too hard after the kill.
Did it remind you of After PAX?
Absolutely, mate.
Here we go. So, Adam, you've been playing this as well. How many goes it take you to finish this bit?
Yeah, a few, a couple. We're not too far away from my biggest challenge so far. I'll let you know when we run into him. So as you said, the first game was the focus enemy was the frogs, which I love. I love the design of the frogs. I think they're fantastic. But this time around, we've got kind of a more horror theme with the bats. Was it always kind of, for the sequel, going to be a different faction, or what was the choice behind moving from kind of the big burly frogs to the more horror-centric bats?
So, I mean, as you can see with Tales of Iron 2, what we really enjoy about Tales of Iron is showing different parts of the world, showing the different races and how they all interact. Like we were saying, like the Owls of Nestminster, we like to show these different factions, their technology, their government systems, how they've changed. And so that was the reason we wanted to change enemies. And then the reason it was bats was because, like, we're trying to create this, like, our own version of the fantasy world, you know. If the rats are our humans, the frogs are kind of our goblin orc character, and the bats were obviously like our vampire lord type of enemy, you know, our undead. So that was kind of the thinking behind it. And that's exciting for the future to see what else we could do with different races and different, you know, types of enemies.
And its eye was trained on Arlo.
All right, Nathan. We're expecting big things.
Snapping jaws, and the beating.
The funny thing is, I've actually seen people get this down to, like, the minutest of health bars.
Victory.
They just smash it. And it's crazy.
That's a lot of pressure. You, Nathan.
Only he wasn't in bed. The warmth was from the fire that had engulfed Winter's Edge, and the shouts were his.
I'm just ashamed that we lost the musical Darkwing. So there's like a couple rocking out in the back there.
Yeah, like all of the bats are like the heavy metal guitar music. The guys that do all of our audio, they're 3 Italian guys. Their company's called Setete, and they actually got a guy, an Italian guy, who's doing screamo, like singing over the top of it, but in like a random bat language they made. So if you actually listen to it or listen to it on the soundtrack, you could actually hear somebody like singing over the top, which is pretty funny.
Do you guys ever just talk around, you know, on Discord or whatever, on Teams, just in that bat language? Do you ever just, you know, throw it out there?
Well, there's only one person in the world that knows that bat language, and they just came up with that on the day. So.
The chef's knife. Arlo wondered why they would leave them here.
All right, so we've seen that Nathan's been this guy's got there we go. He's just frozen Nathan. So what was the how'd you come up with the elemental stuff? I mean, you know, it sounds quite like an easy sort of mechanic to kind of pivot to, but yeah.
It was like we were saying earlier, we had feedback from Tales of Iron 1 that people liked the combat, but they wanted a deeper side to it. They wanted more, and obviously the classic RPG thing is to introduce these elemental systems, and it was just another way for us to add that depth through being able to edit your build. So you can create a fire armor with an electric sword, or you can create an ice armor with a poison sword. You know, whatever system you want, you can create, and at the same time, it adds that depth to combat because then enemies have got this similar thing. That allowed us to then like create combat scenarios where you'd have to work out the correct outfit to wear, as well as being good at the second-to-second combat. So it was just a way of adding depth to the actual combat for us.
Yeah, I think it definitely adds another layer to the combat, which is great.
Yeah, and then you get cool things as well in it because of that system. You then get those panic moments in the second, like you just got frozen, or you know, you get the stun, or you get the drip of the poison. You know, it adds that level of panic within combat, because that's something we really enjoy. You know, like when you get down to that last sliver of health, it goes grey, so you can't see what's going on properly, so you're in that panic mode. That's something we really try to create and get people to enjoy, because it is those moments where when you overcome the boss, when you're in that grey state, you're like, I've done it, and you get that adrenaline rush afterwards.
So the game's been out for about a week now, pretty much, give or take, week and a bit. Yeah, and you know, so far, like, the reception's been pretty great from what I can conceit. You know, I gave it a 9. You know, what more do you need? How have you guys found the reception for this one compared to the last one? Like you, I mean, you must be super happy, but yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Like we're well happy with how it's going. You know, it's the review scores I think are like 1 below what the Tales of Iron 1 was, and I think that's mainly due to it being a sequel. So there's nothing that we can complain about. You know, people are loving it. People are happy to be back into the Ratdom. People are telling us they love the combat and what we've done with it. There's still, you know, like we say, we like to take feedback. So some people say they want, you know, and the difficulty to be slightly easier on the middle version, which is fine. You know, we can do that. They want the bosses to run off slightly less. So you know that feedback is crucial to us because that's stuff that we can look at and edit for going forward in the future. But overall, people are super happy with it, and we're happy to see that people still want to play Tales of Iron. You know?
Yeah. I personally, because I gave the first one a 9.5 and this one a 9, so I probably like this one more. But this one I found I had a couple more just minor issues with it, and kind of like I think you said, like about those bosses running off, like in those like the hunter kind of ones. And the other thing that that I wanted to ask you, the other thing that is, I found that when you get to kind of towards the end of the game and you have all this different armor and weapons and you're in all these different areas, but each you have to kind of manage the elemental side of that. I found that a little bit, just a lot. Like, you know, like I'm going from one area very quickly and this enemy's got you know, the power of ice, and then I have to go to flip to an ice power shield, and then I go to another one and they've got poison kind of thing. So when you were kind of designing that, how'd you...
I think that's a case of that we maybe went a little too far with the elemental stuff. Maybe not every enemy needs to be an elemental enemy. Again, we liked that side of it. We liked the micromanaging of what you're wearing, but again, that's not everyone's draw from it. So I think in the future we could potentially go down a route of only certain big bosses are like major electrical enemies or major poison enemies, and you know, some enemies are just chill enemies, if we want to call them chill. So I think that's the way we can go in the future with it. And but I think overall the system for the elemental is good. It just needs a little tweaking in the future. But
yeah, because it could also, I mean, could also work that your location is your elemental stuff as well, perhaps, because that was the other thing I found is when I went to a certain location and I'd purposely be like, okay, cool, I'm going to fight the bats, so I'll do my build this way, but then I'll run into some snakes or whatever, right? And they're completely the opposite kind of thing. So
I think it's a case of like we hit two. One of the feedbacks in Tales of Iron 1 was that it was always frogs and bugs. That's all they ever wanted. So we was like, you know what? We're going to add in so many different types of enemies that there's no way that anyone can say there's not a variety. But then that variety led us to be in an awkward situation where like snakes have got to be poison.
Yeah,
but it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that, you know, this ice centipede is ice. So I think that was the mix up there. But I think it's interesting to see different ways people play it. Like, if some people realise it's that Monster Hunter-esque game, they go in, they're like, right, I need this set of armour to fight ice, I need this sort of armour to fight fire, and they'll make that set so they've got it to go. And then there's some people that are just like, I'm going to brute force this and I'm getting through it no matter what. But that's the fun part of it, you know? That's the fun part of the Souls-like, is those people that train and practice and those people that are just willing to like ram their head against it until they get the score they need.
Well, speaking of ramming your head against the wall, Nathan, how
we got this third time's the charm.
We do.
So yeah, we've just died twice, but we've got the attack patterns down now, so we'll be moving on to the next part ever so shortly. Thanks for your patience.
This guy is like our wall, you know. This is like, you need to be able to beat this guy to be able to progress in the game. So people complain that he's tough, but through beating this guy, you know everything, and it makes everything after this a lot more easier because you understand everything. He is.
See, I'm encouraged now.
Yeah. This is you were meant to be challenged, Nathan. Don't
Exactly.
stress.
I'm
This is
playing the game as
absolutely the boss that
Yeah.
This is where I hit a wall as well. So I'll abstain from laying in too hard. But speaking of the difficulty side of things, obviously this being a sequel, you had a baseline to go off from Tales of Iron 1, but how difficult is it as a team to find that sweet spot of difficulty? Like, obviously, you know, the Souls games being a bit of an influence, the kind of difficult gameplay, but I mean, is it just a monstrous amount of play testing? Is it kind of a personal thing and you hope people are on board? How did you kind of find that balance?
It's literally the hardest part of it, because it affects every part of the game. It's not just like, oh, this boss hits harder, so therefore this boss is hard. It's like, you've got to make sure that your player's got the health you want. You got to make sure that the level design allows for them to have enough juice to drink. You got to make sure that the boss has moves that are easily telegraphable, but then you balance the speed of those moves to get the difficulty. You got to make sure the damage they do. You got to make sure they got the right weapons. You got to make sure the weapons are doing the right damage, but that damage scales throughout the game. So it literally affects every part of design. So when you go in, you have to be like, right, we're making a hard game because this is what we like to play, and then you have to, again, like you say, through monstrous amounts of play testing and playing it yourself and just going through and playing that game. We basically like to get it to the point that we can play the game through without dying. If we can get if we can get through the game without dying, and everyone on the team can do that, then that means we're happy with the balance. If we can't do that, then that means if it's too hard for us to do it that way, then it's definitely too hard for other people, and that's where we like to get to. But yeah, we kind of rely on being like, we like this balance. That's just the hope that we've got that people like it. Obviously, if people are like, this is insanely hard, we've had this feedback with the wear out, and we've done hot fixes for it, because the wear out to us we didn't find too difficult. People have said that's like a real hard, high level peak in the game. So we've done nerfs to that. So we're not opposed to saying, you know, we don't know everything. So if everyone says they don't like it, then obviously we need to make a change there. But that hot fix should be coming out soon for the wear out.
And like you said, you've got the ability to switch difficulty kind of mid-game now as well. So if you are getting swamped, Nathan, I'm not saying that that's what you need to be doing, just to make it clear.
No, it's again, like I say, this guy, I'm not worried about people dying against like 10, 12 times, because if they're not dying here, they're going to die the next boss. If they got through this boss too easily, the problems they're having here will be on the next boss or the boss after that. Yeah. Whereas we don't want that. We want people to get through the challenge and then have a smoother learning curve afterwards, because they're going to understand the rules.
This is where we get our license to actually play the game.
What did Adam? I never asked. What did Key think of it? Your partner.
Very much enjoyed it. My partner, yeah, I mean, the animals definitely helped the opinion, but I tried passing the controller to her in this moment, and yeah, it was a resounding no. She saw the challenge that I was having. She said, "Nah, I'll leave that to you." But no, she loved it. Just the visual appeal alone, I think, was enough to get her involved.
Yeah, it's surprising that that medieval anthropomorphic world, like the Red Walls, like the Mouse Guard, is so loved, but like so underrepresented in like media in general. Basically, like you have basically Wind in the Willows, Mouse Guard, and Red Wall, and that's about it. So I think we've tapped into something there that people actually like, and it's quite exciting to see people like rallying around it.
Did you, out of interest, did you manage to check out the Red Wall game that has been out?
I haven't. I've seen it a lot. You know that it's like it's almost like a point and click. Is it that one that you're talking about? Like you have questions, like talking with people and stuff. It's not like combat and things. No,
there's combat from memory.
Okay,
but it's not like it's not like this. It's very What's the best way to? The best way to describe it would be it would definitely suit the Nintendo Switch because it's a kids game.
Okay, yeah. So the last like anthropomorphic animal one I played was Ghost of a Tower, which is like you know, like stealthing around with rats and mice. That game's really cool.
I never actually finished that, but I did really like that.
Final stage.
The kiss of death.
I could see it coming. You got way too into it. I was like, he's gonna jump at this guy now and get stabbed.
Humbling. Nah, I got this, guys. Don't even sweat.
We've got faith. It's fine. Don't stress.
Do we have time though? Now we're tilting, boys. So.
Look, you could always switch it up, and then just go back to the other one.
You want to demonstrate how it works, eh?
Yeah, let's do it.
That's perfect.
Good segue.
There we go, guys. That's a feature.
There you go. Yeah.
Look,
Fairy tale mode.
I think there's a trophy for finishing this boss on Fairy Tale mode.
Arlo had found the reason his friends had fled.
We actually, the first game
I
we
didn't get
actually
that one.
had.
I didn't get that one.
The first game we actually had a achievement for completing the game on Bloody Whisker, but we removed it in this game because it was a little bit tough.
Didn't want to show me up, yeah.
How is that achievement wise? I've always wondered, like, it's a kind of a funny balance to strike. I suppose like the difficulty in a sense where you want there to be a challenge, but then if things are too challenging, then people are off put and obviously don't want to aim for them. What's like creatively? How do you deal with that? Like, is it more of a pain or is it like a fun challenge to create these trophies and whatnot that people actually want to interact with?
It's a weird one because like the platinum or the top trophy would depend on what platform you're on is it's a toughie because with Tales of Iron 1 where we had that you have to finish it on Bloody Whisker, people saw it as like an achievement, like the trophy hunters saw it as an actual achievement, being like I've got the platinum in Bloody Whisker mode. But then at the same time, you've got all those people being like, my Steam's not 100% because I don't want to play it in Bloody Whisker, but I love the game. So that was kind of our thinking for Tales of Iron 2, is we wanted to reduce, like, although we love that people got it, I feel like the platinum in Tales of Iron 2 is still as hard to get. I wanted more people to be able to access it, basically. But like the whole process of designing achievements is actually, a lot of it is driven by the platform holders because they give you a certain amount of points that you can allocate to trophies and achievements and that sort of thing.
Right.
So you have to work like you basically have to do a whole load of maths to work out like I can have this many bronze trophies, this many silver trophies, this many gold trophies.
Yeah, right.
You know, you have to like fiddle around with some numbers to get it to work, but
Nothing says creativity like a bit of math.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, maths for achievements as well. Yeah. But yeah, I think the achievements in this one are pretty fun as well. They drive you to see the whole game. They drive you to like that was the full process behind it. Is like we want people to build to level 3 throughout their settlement. So if we put achievement behind that, then that's going to kind of drive people to do that as well.
Sure. Yeah.
So
There we go.
Nice sweat, boys.
all right. So just Nathan, what's the main difference between the modes that you noticed? So to me, it looked like they.
Yeah, I can give you a very easy answer on that one.
Yeah.
It doesn't wipe out like half your health when you take a hit. Like it's a lot more lenient in how much damage is being dealt to you, the player. So more forgiving is probably the most immediate thing I noticed there.
So like technically behind it all is that Fairy Tale mode they're actually slightly slower and they do less damage, and Bloody Whisker mode they're actually faster and do more damage. So then the Tales of Iron mode in the middle is like how we would play it.
Yeah, right. Have you beat it on Bloody Whisker without dying?
not without dying, but I've done it all the way through. Without dying
Boys,
is a
pack
tough
it up.
challenge.
Pack it up.
We've made the title screen.
That's the fun thing about our team is like Matt is very much I want to play on a very super difficult mode, whereas I'm more leaning towards Fairy Tale mode, Tales of Iron mode.
Yeah.
So we all have to play it at different difficulties, and that's the fun thing that with this ability to switch between is it lets me taste those different bits. Like if I want to do Fairy Tale, if I want to do Tales of Iron, because I'm there for the story. I like the story. I like the world. I like the combat, but the difficulty of the combat is not always my favourite thing. But most of the team, that's their favourite bit, and they're not so much in for the story. It's that mix of creative types that like different things.
Don't.
I went to change the difficulty back, but the game didn't like it.
Did you save?
So, while Nathan's booting it back up, I've got to say, you'd probably be very, very grateful for United Label's support because from the first game, that game got a ton of DLC and it was all free too. Like, I feel like that is a very underappreciated feature of that game is that it had lots of DLC and it was all free.
Yeah, like so with that DLC, we actually did that in our own time. So we was working on Tales of Iron 2, and then in the evening we'd work on DLC for Tales of Iron 1. So we did that in our own time so that we could give it to the players for free, basically.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
well, that's what we like. If you've like gone in and like spent the money playing the game and gone to the effort of like finishing the game, then we want to. Oh, you didn't save before after finishing it.
Oh, hang on, I
If
haven't
you've
got
gone to
the
that,
I haven't got the stream up. Is it there?
Oh, it's put us back in the boss fight, guys. It's alright.
Gotta do it properly this time, mate.
Yeah, we've warmed up now.
switch to Fairy Tale and then save.
You reckon you don't want to give it a crack at that?
Oh, give it a go then.
Go on.
Oh god. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, obvious question then. So, are you planning for DLC for Tales of Iron 2?
Well, I don't. I think I'd be murdered if I said that aloud. So
He's not listening.
obviously, you've seen Tales of Iron 1 and what we did with Tales of Iron 1. So therefore, Tales of Iron 2, I would.
Blink twice if yes.
Let's just say I've got stories. I've got stories to tell. I just need some time to make them.
Well, the mode that's like the fighting. I can't remember the mode. Sorry, the fighting mode that's kind of in Tales of Iron 1.
Like in the arena and stuff.
Yeah, like the arena mode. Sorry, not the fighting mode. Yeah, is that you're gonna have something like that here? Because I know.
So in Tales of Iron 1, the only arena you really do is you do, spoilers again, is at the Crimson Keep, right? You fight a few people in there. So the arena in Tales of Iron 1 was just really like part of Moletown, wasn't it? You just did like the wrestlers in Moletown. It would be interesting to go back to Moletown, wouldn't it? It would be interesting to see what's going on there. I can't say too much. Yeah.
You're a seasoned vet at this point.
Oh, you was doing so well and you got so sucked into attacking him.
Now we got this.
It does happen though. Like when you get that last little bit of health, you do get like sucked into just.
Yeah, that's the thing we like about it. It's like I was saying, it's that panic moment. It's that moment of, have I got enough time to get through here and smash him, or is he going to get me? It's that you can see the panic in him. He's like, I know I'm going to get hit. I need to dodge roll away from this.
Alright, I'll be merciful to you folks. Let's get it done.
So kind of a loaded question, but you know, answer
Arlo had
as you
found
wish.
the
But
reason his friends had fled.
sequel sort of talk. You know, would you like to kind of move away from Tales of Iron as a creative collective, or is this sort of a franchise series that you would like to explore more of, pending whatever occurs in the future?
Yeah, I mean, without any spoilers for Tales of Iron 2, the ending of Tales of Iron 2 leaves a little bit open, doesn't it, in what's going on. I think you could probably guess where we'd like to take the story afterwards. So there's definitely another tale to tell in there. So who knows? Who knows what's going on? Who knows what I'm working on today? Who knows? I don't know.
But yeah, do you have any ideas going around that's not Tales of Iron, like for something different? Because obviously your first game was quite different. Well, you know, it was different to Tales of Iron. So
yeah. So I mean, an insight into the way that indies get publishing deals is, or the way we've always got funding for our publishing deals is we go to like EGX or PAX or, you know, whatever event you want to go to, and there's normally a business side to it, and you go along with your deck of like game that you want to make and your demo, and you do basically speed dating. Like, publishers sat at tables and you pitch yourself for 3 minutes, and then they say thank you very much, you go to the next one, pitch yourself. So that's how the publishing side works. So we've always got 3 or 4 pitch decks made for games that we'd like to make, because, like, okay, Tales of Iron is our Souls-likes, but Souls-likes aren't going to be the thing that publishers are looking for forever, you know. So make sure you save this time.
Yes.
So Souls-likes aren't always going to be, you know, the in thing that publishers are looking for. So we've got. I know right now I could show you 3 games that we've got designed out that we'd like to make. Yeah.
I'm listening.
like the way we always do it is, like, when we sold the idea of Tales of Iron to a publisher, we like to compare 2 things so that people have got an instant understanding of what it is. So with Tales of Iron, it was Redwall meets The Witcher, you know, that was our easy pitch sell. So we've got one that is like Wallace and Gromit meets Watchmen. That's one of them. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Hello.
So there you go. So that's a little sneak peek.
Oh, great. I won't be able to think of anything else going forward.
Thanks for that.
All right.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, right. That's nice. All right, Nathan, you've done it. Have you saved?
Yeah, we've saved. And look, I'm going to give you another one. There we go.
Extra protection.
Good stuff.
But this is another intense part of Tales, or, well, just the way we make our games is, like, we do these whole set changes. So beforehand, this was like a fully built up keep.
It's
Populated.
Yeah, we populate with like houses and stuff. And now when you walk around, it's all destroyed. So that is a whole wipeout of assets, new assets put in, and as you build up your settlement, it actually changes in the background what's going on. So that, although it's one scene, it's actually like 4 scenes within one scene. It's a crazy amount of work in that level.
I did
Warden of the Wastes.
I don't think it's any spoilery kind of question, but there's obviously like base building is a very, you know, easy way to kind of say, but there's an element of that of here when you can kind of and you kind of build out the bottom part of Winter's Edge with some stuff that you can get along the way. Because there actually was a point where I was playing, I was like, what is all this stuff for? Like why am I buying this statue or something? Like, where's it going? And then I figured out, like, not long after that it all goes here, but that, you know, that adds like a nice little touch to it. Makes you kind of, you know, make it your own version of Winter's Edge.
Exactly. Like, so the way that we like people to customize Arlo and wear the armors that they like or the armor they need for the combat, but we also wanted Winter's Edge to feel like it's your place, because in Tales of Iron 1 we had the Crimson Keep and you rebuilt the Crimson Keep, but everyone's smithy was here, everyone's chef was here, everyone's throne room was here. You know, that it was exactly as we said. That's how it was. Whereas with Tales of Iron 2, we wanted you to have a bit more, this is my castle, this is my keep. So by putting the shops where you want, by decorating it how you want, it just gave it that little, your Winter's Edge will look completely different to my Winter's Edge, and that was just a nice bonus to it.
Just going back to the armor thing we kind of talked on before, but one of the armor pieces I thought looked sick was the Dark Crusader, like the helmet. I thought that looked really cool. Eventually I had to like let it go because I needed some extra armor, but there was a piece of armor, I don't remember the name of it, but this might mean nothing to you, so ignore me, but it made Arlo look like a plover, and I hate plovers, so...
Well, I don't know which one made him look like a plumber. I don't know what plumbers look like.
No. Plover. It's a bird. It's a...
Oh, I thought you hated
he's gonna have to
plumbers.
translate this, isn't he?
If you googled mast lapwing, you would know what I'm talking about. But there's anyway. So
Do you like birds?
well, what I'm gonna, this
Why
this
do you
is
hate
free-
these birds?
Free consulting here, but if you want an enemy for Tales of Iron 3, go the dirty plover, mate.
Plover would certainly fit the bill.
First of all, I was like, this guy must really hate Mario. When he was saying,
I do love that
goddamn
the
ploppers.
miscommunication was just like he just hates a profession.
I was like, this guy's had a lot of leaks in his house. He's paid plumbers way too much.
Okay, yeah. So is this? No, this isn't Nestminster. I was excited.
We're coming up to it, yeah. But that was one of the interesting things. Like I was saying earlier, we like to show as much different parts of the world. You know, like in Tales of Iron 1, we didn't get to do it as much because it was the first game, but we had the rats being this sort of medieval castles and knights and that. And then we had the frogs being like sort of tribal, living in the swamps. And then we also had the moles living underground in like a futuristic city. That's something we like to show these different civilizations and the way they interact. So it was interesting in this game to be like, right, well, what do we want to do? And then we had these owls that are like, again, going back to we want to create our fantasy world. The owls are meant to be like our elves. So like they've got like a high fantasy elvish feel to them, you know. And then the joke obviously being Nestminster's like Westminster, and they make all these rules and
I did appreciate that.
regulations and that sort of thing.
Oh, incredible pun. Absolutely incredible pun.
And then I think another interesting thing that we did in Tales of Iron 2 that not a lot of people have even questioned is that spoiler again, but in the Rift you make friends with one of the frogs, right? And you're like becoming friends with the frogs and helping them grow and build a civilization there. So that's an interesting part of the story we can tell was like how the rat and frog interaction has changed over time.
I did love just like little things like I think you mentioned it before, but when we do go to Nestminster, the owls are in Parliament.
Nestminster's entrance was guarded.
Just something very very small, but
the eyes of the guards seemed to
Well, that wrote itself, like that. A group of owls is called a parliament, and it was just like, well, that you can literally see the thought process. It's like, what are we going to call this place? What's a group of owls called Parliament? Done. Nestminster. It was literally that easy. Nestminster is a good example. Is all of our music in the world. We try to make it come from a natural source. So like there, you had musicians playing music. Now you've walked away, you don't have that music anymore, and you'll hear it like when you're at the bottom of Nestminster. You can hear it coming from the top. So we always try to make the music feel in world and real.
Listened still as statues to the pleading of a
I still just this area of the world is just, I think it's so beautiful.
She would rescue the chef's daughter.
It's gorgeous.
And needed no help. Then she was gone, leaving Arlo to face the
I wish we could have done more with this guy. He's such a cool character, but he's just like an NPC really. But maybe we can bring him back in the future.
Maybe, you know what I mean.
I saw I saw a I saw a Reddit post the other day about this guy. People absolutely hating this guy. He links into the story, right? He follows you around the whole time, but he's obviously like a spy for the bad owls, for the cults. But people were absolutely hating him and wanting to kill him. So maybe I can do that in the future as well.
She was brave. The chef handed Arlo a few poison antidotes without
Nathan,
Another little fun thing.
Nathan, what are you thinking?
Arlo wondered what could go in soup that would
What am I
have him
thinking?
so scared.
Yeah.
That I need to go back and finish the first game.
It's a good thought.
It's definitely a starting thought. Yeah.
I got a very
I,
weird question. Just the drinking sound effect. Who made that? Because every time I heard that, I was like, I bloody want to drink. Every time I was...
That was just the audio, guys. I'm pretty sure it's the same sound from the first game as well. It's just,
It sounds like it, yeah.
It sounds like
But it's
it.
just
It
such
does
a...
its job.
Like, just like the gulping, I'm like, oh, I want to bloody smash something. Like, give me...
Well, talking of audio though, in Westminster, when you go across the bridges, they're actually musical and they play like a as you walk across them. That was a nice little feature.
Nathan, were you going to say something before I rudely cut in?
Nah, it's gone, mate. It's gone.
You having a hoot?
Don't do
Ah.
that.
Leave the puns to the professionals, mate. Come
I
on.
was going to
Sorry,
say, yeah, we didn't get much time here to see the day-night cycle. I was just curious as to any gameplay impacts or anything you might have noticed in your playthrough, Zach, about the day-night cycle.
So, from my memory, different enemies come out at night, stuff like that, in different areas, and some of them are only, some of them are only out at night? Question mark.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Like, if you're doing a hunt, then the hunting monster is always there. But once you've hunted the monster, it'll be in the world moving around. So that monster will appear at different times of day. The standard like encounters that you can run past change depending on time of day. And like even like the village, like it's nighttime now. There's not people walking around and that sort of thing. So like we actually change what happens in non-combat areas as well, depending on the time of day.
Everyone's gone to bed. Wait, how do ours work?
Yeah, I just kind of like the change to the set that it has. Like obviously everything's darker, but you see the lit up lanterns and everything. It just it's a nice little change of pace. I think it's very cool.
Even just the very minimalist kind of soundscape that's going, just those, just the forest noises, like there's no music that kind of does it, I think it's good.
That's what I mean, like anything that should be made by a sentient creature, we try to keep to just those periods of time where there's like a musician around, or that's anything that could be making music basically.
A white feather. Erica knew it was Frey's. They were on the right path.
See that little snake in the background? Like that's the shit I'm talking about. Like that. It's just great.
Oh, he's just snuck out of shot.
Yeah, well, we like to do that. Again, that's that storytelling, that world building without any words. It's exciting to do that stuff.
Is there a
You're not forgetting to save now, mate. Ingrained into you.
Yep, sit by the bonfire.
Jack? Are we near another boss fight?
Scouting party
Not really. You've probably got another
15 minutes till we get to the boss.
Yeah, we'll see how Nathan goes, but yeah, we might wrap it up in soonish. But I wouldn't mind
Yeah, no pressure.
seeing. Well, no, like just thinking time-wise, Jack's got Tottenham highlights to watch, maybe.
Oh, there's no highlights to talk.
No. What are your thoughts on, because your mate Ange is our mate, so what do you think of Ange at the moment? You want him out? You booing him? From the couch?
No, what's
The
the
couch?
We've done this for like what, the last 23 years or whatever it is. We give them a little time. We don't think they're good enough. We chuck them out, and then we say, "Oh, we'll get somebody else in." And in that time, we've won 1 trophy. What's the point? We've had Jose Mourinho.
Sounds
we've
like
had
it's working for
Conte.
you.
Sounds like it's working for you.
Exactly. And we've had Jose, we've had Conte, these guys that go anywhere and win, and they've not won anything with us.
Yeah.
So I think changing the manager is not the point. I mean, I don't want this to turn into a Levy out podcast, but but yeah, I'd say I'm pro
The
Ange.
farmer card.
Okay.
What it lacks in power, it makes up for.
I think this was the area where I was like, man, this is so damn Redwall. Like, just, I love it.
Did you get the Badger reference as well, with them being Marco and Lorenzo, both wear red and green and they grow mushrooms?
Well,
It's like Mario.
I saw the mushrooms, but yeah, I didn't get the name. To be fair, it's been a long time since I've read the books, but if they're references to characters,
No, it's meant to be like a reference to Mario and Luigi.
Oh,
They
right,
got
okay.
They wear
No,
red and
remember, I
green.
fucking hate
They
puns,
got
mate.
Italian
Like
names. I should have done a cutscene where he eats one. He gets bigger in there for some random reason. He's too big for the room.
At Moonlight Pond, Frey was already preparing to leave.
So an interesting thing about this level actually is
With a hoot of
early on
agony,
in development,
she was
or well,
gone.
about halfway through, we still had this concept of swimming. So actually, underneath this level, there is a whole. If you jumped in that water, there'd be a whole level of like swimming level, but we just couldn't get it to work in a way that we wanted, and couldn't get combat in there working how we wanted, so we cut it. But yeah, at one point we had the concept of swimming.
Yeah, right.
The old underwater level, always divisive in video games, every time.
Well, that was the thing. It was just to get it to a polished level. It was too hard, basically. To combat underwater as a rat is not something that comes to mind that easily.
Is there anything else that's kind of on the cutting room, or that's on the cutting room floor from this game that you'd maybe like to revisit, or something that was fun but maybe you just couldn't quite implement, like the swimming?
Yeah. So like something in both games we've tried twice now. Both Tales of Iron we've tried to do jump in combat, like jumping and attacking basically, and it seems like it would be a simple addition. Like it seems like that'll just work, that'll fit in, but it's so. Like having an enemy where you want to feel weighted and have strength, and then you're suddenly jumping around and diving around in the air. It just kind of like breaks the immersion, and it just destroys the difficulty of combat, because you can just slam people from the air all the time. So yeah, we tried that twice now. I don't think we're going to try it again. I think that one stays on the cutting room floor.
Fair.
Were there any other elements that you were considering? Like, was there any some different one instead of the 4 that you went with?
Yeah. So like we knew these were the 4 we wanted to go with, but we were always thinking for the future maybe we could add and you can mix and match. But you know, we haven't gone any further. But we know that's something we could explore. Like there's always the concept of like having like love or like attraction. You know, like if you could hit someone with a love thing and then they fight with you for a little bit. You know. That would be fun. Or like if you could intoxicate someone, you know, you could get them drunk and then they're a little bit woozy and stumbling around and that sort of thing. But yeah, they were all like small ideas. We haven't really gone into the depths of them yet.
I was going to ask before, have you had what's the feedback been like on the frequency of the benches, the save benches? Because I just wonder, as a Souls-like, I love it. I think the amount of save points and stuff is perfect. But, you know, purists are probably, like, you know.
Yeah, so it's another one of the... Just like difficulty, that is another part of the puzzle of what makes a game difficult. You know, so like Dark Souls does it. It's difficult because you don't save very often. That's one of their their difficulty buttons. For us, we didn't we like Hollow Knight, but for us, Hollow Knight, a lot of the challenge is getting to the boss without losing health, so you can fight the boss. And we didn't want that loop. We wanted the challenge to be fighting and learning the boss. The challenge shouldn't be getting to the boss with enough health to kill it. The challenge should be learning the moves, dealing with the moves, having the right equipment, and fighting the boss one on one. So the frequency of saves is there because we just want the challenge to be on bosses. We don't want it to be the traversal of the world. But we still get. I mean, I played this game hundreds, thousands of times, and I think there is a save bench within 2 screens of every boss. I don't think most of them it's 1 screen, and yet we still get people say there's not enough saves. So it's still that balance. You're never going to make everyone happy, just like the difficulty. You're never going to make it the right difficulty for everyone.
Yeah, I think I read that on like a Reddit thing somewhere that someone mentioned about that the save points aren't frequent enough, and I'm like, we're playing the same game, like they're everywhere.
But I think this is a bit where the term Souls-like is lost. Like Dark Souls is a Souls game. It's not. I don't think it's a Souls-like. It is a Souls game. A Souls-like means it is like the Souls games, but it is not the Souls games. We can make tweaks and edit their system to make a Souls-like game. So yeah, like we don't have a stamina bar. We don't have dropping your experience, but we do have difficulty spikes. We do have equipment that is like good. You have the fat roll. It's a Souls-like.
With your equipment, I'm pretty sure this statement's going to be correct, but it's your weight is only your equipped equipment, not your actual. Cool.
Yeah, because otherwise I don't think you'd be able to move. The amount of equipment you have, you'd be pinned to the floor. But yeah, I did see someone questioning the other day, like what. And I don't understand why they were asking, but they were like, I want to remove my 2-handed weapon so I'm lighter. But the way the game is designed is you have enemies with shields that need to have their shield broken. You have enemies that fly that you need to be able to shoot in the air. So you always have to have a piece of equipment in each slot. But maybe in the future that's something we could work around if people want to be super, super light.
Was there ever the thing I did notice is that, unless I've completely missed this part of the game, but there is only a limit on the amount of items you can have, and that doesn't change to my understanding. So 2 whetstones, 1 trap of those elemental traps.
Found a whole nest of eggs.
So again, that is the buttons that we can press to change difficulty.
Yeah.
If we allowed you to have 200 whetstones, people would just be sharpening and defeating bosses in one. So it's like it's all that balance of trying to keep it difficult but being fair, basically.
Is this the boss? No.
Is this the boss? No.
Yeah, this is the boss.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna. He's only got 1 bar of health in here, so you'll be alright.
Side by side, Erica and Arlo forced the slither scale from its lair. Erica would not leave Frey.
Adam, how do you feel
They would see
about
him back at
those
the
creatures
Parliament.
just giving each other the thumbs up? What are your thoughts on that, mate?
Love a thumbs up. Big fan of the thumbs up. Universal sign of happiness, mate. Don't know why you'd hate it.
It's funny you say that though, because that is like when we first started this system of like we want to try and communicate everything through the bubbles. Our first thing was like, how do you say yes? Like, how do you say yeah, good, nice one, thank you? Like the only thing that I think is universal for yes or okay is like either this or doing this. But this is too hard. This is too awkward to do with like rat hands and feathered wings and stuff. So it had to be there.
Alright, maybe we'll keep going do the boss, and then we'll.
Well, that was the boss I was talking about.
Yeah, but we go and find him again though, right?
I think after if you finish this quest, you could go and do a hunt, and hunt him down. So
Oh yeah,
if you
okay.
get out,
Maybe we'll finish this
you can
quest
find
and
the
then.
snake.
So I think we just need to take it back to town.
Yeah, if you go right, I think you can go up and out of it.
And the resources you're collecting are mainly for smithing, yeah? For like creating new weapons?
So the resources you collect are for smithing, like weapons, armor, and all of that, but they're also used for upgrading the settlement. So building new houses and shops and that.
Right,
sort
of course. Gotcha.
So yeah, there's loads of different resources that are all used for different things, but the majority of resources are collected through the hunts, through killing stuff and then carving materials from.
And Frey held wings as they asked Arlo and the elders for their blessing. They wanted to leave and start their own kitchen at Winter's Edge. All agreed. Arlo hoped slither scale eggs would not be on the menu.
I just sometimes when I say that,
I can't unsee the rat thumb now.
So yeah,
Nice
if we
work,
go
Nathan.
back to
Well done
that,
work, Nathan.
if we go back to that building on the left, then we can take a hunt from there and fight some bosses.
Arlo was keen to head
She was
home,
just telling you about it now.
but an owl called Sigrid stopped him. As Chancellor, she had a budget for someone to deal with the local slither scale problem. If he wanted the job, he best join her in the Rangers Guild.
Alright, let's go.
If you follow her into there, and then she's behind the desk, she'll have like hunts for you to do. You go right. Yeah. If we do a boss.
Right.
Cool.
There we go.
Alright, let's do that, and then we'll let
The
Jack go.
owls called for Arlo's help.
No pressure.
A ranger had gone to hunt a slither
Well, it's on
scale.
Fairy Tale, isn't it?
He was seeking vengeance for a slither scale
You're
attack,
supposed to know, mate.
but Arlo would not let
Nice.
the young ranger go the same way.
And so I'd imagine there are some hunts that are kind of pivotal to the story, but the majority of them, I'd imagine, are optional. They're just like extra challenges that you gain resources and loot from.
So this was again feedback from the first game. So the first game we made it so that you needed to do side quests to earn gold because you needed gold in the main story.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh, I don't want to be doing side quests to complete the game." So fair enough if that's the feedback. That's the
Arlo
feedback.
had
So
heard the sniffing
in this
of the
game,
heron leagues
you
away.
can play the game from
Ernest
start
was
to
the most
finish
skilled
without doing
fisherman
any of
in
the
the
side
Red
quest
Dome,
hunts.
or had
But
been.
you're only going to have
In
like
between
very
sobs, he
basic
told
materials
Arlo
and
he
equipment.
dropped
You're not
his best
really going to be able to do
rod
that
in
much
the weapon.
crafting. It's
The
possible,
warden
but you're going to have
offered to
a
find
harder
it.
time.
If only
But if
she
you
saw
do if
the
you do the
noise.
side quests and you get the materials, you do the hunts, you can craft loads of weapons and armor. You're going to make that journey through the game easier for yourself. So yeah, you don't have to do side quests, but they're all different. They've all got their own little bit of story to them, so they are like individual set pieces.
Because if I'm remembering correctly, in order to max out your smith, your kitchen, and that sort of stuff, you need to actually do some of the hunts because they give you the bits that you need.
Yeah, but those monsters you'll meet through the story.
Oh.
So the snake, like those snake parts that you'll need. I think you need the snake for the chef. Those parts you've just got through doing that quest just then. So you don't have to. You can go through the badger house. You don't have to do those quests in order to the side quests to get those materials. We always make sure.
Okay, cool,
you've
yeah.
got-
Because I think when I was playing at the very end, I had to go and fight another the death march ant, centipede, because I needed the tail. Because I think Is there a
That might be the level 3 stuff. Maybe you have
Correct.
to do it for the level 3
yeah,
stuff.
that was.
It was already locked in battle with the Slither Scale. He would not survive long fighting alone. The young ranger was a
So
fierce
this is
fighter,
another thing that
no
people,
match for the
again,
Slither
it's like the
Scale.
50-50.
He barely thanked
People
Arlo
like it,
for
some people
helping him
don't.
in this fight,
The monster's
before he
running off.
took off,
So
seeking another.
the reason we put it in there was, like you say, you have those enemies that sometimes change difficulties or they change elemental types. So we wanted people to be able to go and craft. If they've got into a combat scenario and they want, like, I need a new armor or I need a better weapon, it gives them that space to go and swap what they want. And also, it would create... So, like, for example, once you've defeated this snake will randomly appear in levels. So it then meant, like, you could be...
Right.
For example, you could be fighting a centipede in here and then go and be... a snake will appear halfway through that combat encounter. So it would create unique stories for people. But yeah, some people just, like, I guess, want to just sit in an arena and smack the snake to his death.
Very confident on this mode.
Have I missed
Just
this?
jumping, losing health.
You know me,
He's all
mate.
willy-nilly
All
with
confidence.
his health now. God.
So what have I done here? Oh yeah, go up.
I can wall jump up here, yeah.
Classic.
There you go.
And obviously, if you don't want to, you don't have to put an exact number to it. But how many roughly hunts, optional hunts, would we be expecting to be able to run into?
I think there's 15. I think there is.
Oh, right, okay.
I think there's 15 unique, like, side quests. And then I think there's that many main quests as well. So there's like 30 quests throughout the game.
And I mean, asking you how long it takes you to get through the game is kind of a fool's errand because you've probably played it a million times. But roughly how long would a general person be expected to spend getting through at least I don't know, let's say the main game and a handful of the side quests as well?
Yeah, so like we're saying like the main story is like 10 to 15 hours. So, and that's playing on normal mode. Like obviously if you play on I almost called it baby mode then. If you play on fairy tale mode, then you'll get through it a lot quicker. If you're playing on super hard mode, then it's going to take you a while longer. So we're saying 10 to 15 hours will get you through it. So the first game I think was like around 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours. So it's almost double that in this game.
I reckon it took me...
And out of interest,
I
was just about to ask you.
I reckon about 15 to 20 would have been mine.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It depends. Again, it's that balance of difficulty. It depends how you're doing, but it's around that sort of time. But we've tried to remove, like we've got fast travel points everywhere. We've got the sprint. We've got the hook shot. We've tried to make it so that most of that time is in combat, fighting stuff, and less of it is running around and doing nothing basically.
Here and now.
Sure.
Oh, took him out in the air.
Pretty impressed with that. Now for the real battle.
Here he is.
But this is another boss, like I was saying, where you could, if you focus on his tail, you could cut his tail off, and then that would stop him doing that slam of his tail.
I see.
I like that. That's cool.
He's gonna get me too.
Yeah, you need to. Oh.
It's alright, I wasn't nervous.
We'll go this.
He's almost done. Oh! Your buddy held you out there.
Clinch. No!
Oh my days.
You got pressed.
Might have just relaxed a little early there.
He's gonna risk it. He's got it. Press right stick.
Oh my god.
There we go.
Good job.
That wasn't stressful at all either, thank you.
Well done.
I am sweating.
Oh my days.
The Slither Scale was defeated at last.
Good stuff.
The young
Yeah, thanks
Well
for
done.
that, Zach.
took no spoils.
All right, mate.
There you go.
With
Well
only a
done.
brief hoot of thanks
Well,
to
you've
the
just come from
gods.
playing 80 hours of
The
Kingdom Come
Ranger's thirst
2.
for revenge was
How's
finally
how does
sated.
Tales of Vine 2 compare? This is only 15, mate.
The combat's easier, I think. How about that? I mean, that's incorrect, right? So, like, Kingdom Come, my issue was the combat just is, it's a bit scattershot. This is tight. I like that. Tight.
You might want to heal before you die from full damage.
Oh my god.
No!
As this jumps off a, with a perfectly good ladder there.
That's a perfect ending. There we go.
That's the last time you saved too. Alright, good stuff. Well done. Good effort, Nathan.
He completed the quest,
That's
so
the question.
it saves.
You've done well. You've done well. Alright, Jack.
man,
Thank
set me
you.
free.
Thanks so much for hanging out and watching Nathan, do his thing
Slay.
for a while. He had a good time, I think.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. You've had good questions to ask as well. So I'm glad we did it. It's
We
fun.
come prepared.
I like
Adam,
it.
what do you think? As someone who's hasn't seen parts of this game, does this make you want to go back and play more? Because I know that you, yep.
I essentially hit the title screen, and seeing a little bit more and understanding what's ahead. I'll definitely be jumping back in for sure, without a doubt.
Awesome.
It's very approachable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that ability to change the difficulty is just something that matters to no one, but for those who need it. Like, it doesn't take anything away from the game that we want to have, but those who need it can use it. And I think it's a great little feature there.
I need it.
You do need it. You do need it. All right, Jack. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. We look forward to seeing what comes next from Tales of Iron and or Oddbug Studio. If you want to
yes,
give a
indeed.
little plug, where can people? What's the best place for people to stay up to date with the news for Oddbug?
Yeah, so Tales of Iron, Tales of Iron 2 are out now, available on every console and every store under the sun. You can buy Tales of Iron on, other than mobile. But if you want more information about Tales of Iron, just follow us on Twitter or X now, or Blue Sky or Instagram. They're our main sources.
Perfect. Good stuff. And it's a great price. It's I think it's 20% off at the moment for Tales of Iron 2. I think it's 20%.
Yeah, it's like £16.99 at the
Yeah, it's
minute. So yeah.
$30-something, I think.
Sub
Yeah.
30. I mean, we're laughing. Yeah.
Which is incredible. I think for what you're getting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than a train to Norwich, I'll tell you that.
Well said.
All right, cool. This has been another episode of WellPlayed Talk You. Thank you for sticking with us and watching Nathan play Tales of Iron 2, Whiskers of Winter. We will see you on the next time, boys. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much. See you later.
Ciao.